We have made it. I am on the one laptop. I don't have the two screens. I'm gonna get the two screens going pretty quickly again though. But right now I only have this one, but it's okay. But yeah, man, it is 4 p.m. It is Wednesday. Tomorrow was the 4th of July. Let's see what's the temperature. What's the degrees looking like? It's about 83 degrees here in northern New Jersey. It's a beautiful day. You know what I'm saying? Things are going well. But not for Joe Biden, man. Things are not going well for Joe Biden. I mean, it is just relentless. The fallout from Thursday night is unbelievable. I mean, the pundits aren't letting up. Donors want to see him gone. We've had reports of Democrats, especially anonymously, coming to say that they'd like to see Biden with a replacement. But again, my biggest question about all of that would be, we got Libby, we got Lord of Bananas. What's going on? How y'all doing today? My biggest question about that would just be how would it happen? Because if Joe Biden is going to be replaced, my guess is it would have to. Oh, you say hot as hell in Finger Lakes? It's not hot as hell here today. It has been hot as hell, but right now it's about 83 degrees, so it's pretty nice. We got Jay Murphy. We got Mimi in the building. What's going on? I don't know if I'm quite ready for that yet. I don't know if I'm ready for that, Jay Murphy. I may actually. I'm not even old enough to be president. I'm only 32, so I don't have. We'll wait a few years for that. We'll see. We'll see where we at. But again, I think that it. I mean, clearly Joe Biden should have, dropped out. I mean, over a year ago, I mean, like even before everything came. Tina, what's going on? How you doing today, Tina? Joe Biden should have been dropped out. And if from my recollection, if I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure when he was running for 2020, some of what the campaign did was address his age. And they said, we just want to get Trump out of here for 2020. Joe Biden's the only guy who could do it. Um we don't want to risk it. And he said that he's willing. If I recall correctly, I think back then he said he was willing to do one term. And I know Jank Uger, he was. I think he put out a video earlier where he's predicting that Joe Biden is gonna drop out and be replaced. So we'll see. But again, I think that he can't really do any worse than he's doing now. He's in about as bad of a position as he possibly could be in. And I said yesterday, I think if he were to drop out, he would be answering people's calls. Now, but I also think that we need to have um I think we need to, seriously discuss how exactly that would happen, because it's easy to say that yeah, I'm pretty sure that he did say that. Um but how would it actually happen? Like if he was if he were to be replaced, there would have to be pretty much a unanimous decision at the convention about who that person would be. Um so that would be the biggest concern, in terms of, like, it would have to be it would have to be a smooth process, because if it was chaotic, I don't think it would really serve the purpose that we would be looking forward to. Um and I think there's inevitably going to be a group of people um who look at it as, sloppy. Maybe, so that, if Biden's replaced, then they're going to have to answer people's concerns about how bad it looks that 4 months before the election y'all would be switching stuff out. I think it would be foolish to not address that in some type of way. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Now let's get into it, because again, man, I mean, people are just it's relentless. It's absolutely relentless. I've never seen nothing like it in my lifetime. People are going crazy on him. Polls are coming out. He's losing. He was already losing. And a lot, like Democrats, well, this didn't change much. He was losing before. He's still losing now. So let's go ahead and just get into it. Again, this is from pundits and people who normally wouldn't say this, but it is what it is now. So hold on, my bad, y'all. I got this. I got the one screen, so it's just taking a bit longer to do stuff. I'm about to pull this up so we can see. All right. Democrats don't have hope. MSNBC's Donnie Deutsch pushes Biden to step aside, says Democrats need exciting new energy. So let's see.
I guess the question is, if Joe Biden decides he's going to stay in the race and see this through, how do you overcome that? What is the message that could convince Democrats who are worried that he still is the one to beat Donald Trump?
First of all, I want to say that I believe in Joe Biden. I believe Joe Biden will believe. He's always put this country first, and he's going to do what he thinks is right for this country, and I believe in that. And having said that, what wins elections is hope. Right now, Democrats don't have hope. That's the one thing you talked about, Willie, as far as anybody you talk to. Democrats' heads are down, and what wins election is hope. So the question becomes, what gives us the biggest hope? Can Joe Biden restore that? And if not, then the other question is fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear loses. And maybe we have to start to look, in order to just kind of assess where we are. Everybody's like, oh my God, this unknown is a bugaboo and it's chaos. Well, maybe there's excitement in that. Maybe there's newness in that. Maybe there's freshness in that. And maybe the narrative for the next 2 months, instead of being, is Joe Biden okay? Is Joe Biden okay? Becomes this exciting new energy and and that dominates the narrative instead of is Joe okay? So I believe Joe Biden is going to do what is right for this country because I am such a Joe Biden fan. I also believe hope has got to come back to the Democratic Party. We're not going to win with our heads down, and we have to win, and we're going to win. I believe that. I actually am bullish, and I think we've got to start to be bullish. But in order to be bullish, we can't be afraid of the unknown. We've got to do whatever gives us hope again. Hope is going to win, and we just got to be honest about things.
Again, you know what I'm saying? Like this is coming from people who normally would say shut up and vote for Joe Biden, or this is the best that we got. We can't choose anything else. So it's I mean this is pretty unprecedented, especially for my lifetime. I mean, I'm only 32 years old, so it's not like I've seen a whole ton of stuff. But oh, you said all work days over? Okay. Oh, well, brother Luke, it's good to have you here, and I'm glad that you could have a quick smoke break. You know what I'm saying? Because it's always a good time for that. Yeah, good to have you here, man. Always good to see you. And again, like this, I mean, up until and also, I mean, up until I've always been willing to at least give Biden some time to see what he was going to do. Everybody knows that. I mean, I've always acknowledged like, yeah, Biden's in a pretty bad position, but it may be such that he shows up in ways that can quell people's concerns, but he hasn't done that. Especially after the debate. I mean, he has completely failed to do that. Over the last year, Joe Biden could have made a stronger effort to, I mean, what are some things he could have done? Like he released how many? It was I can't remember how many thousands of marijuana prisoners who were in there for nonviolent offenses. I can't remember how many people it was, but he released a lot of them from prison. He could have went further on that. And a lot of the problem with Joe Biden's administration and presidency is there's no FaceTime. We haven't seen him. And you can't really blame him for it, but that's the problem. It's like, why are we giving so much grace to somebody who's in the office of presidency? Like, yeah, you can say, well, he's old, so he's not going to be doing as much. Yeah, so then isn't it a strong argument that he shouldn't be president? Because again, now if he over the last year, if Joe Biden was and I'm sure y'all have been seeing other commentators play like videos of Joe Biden from like 2012 versus now. Like if he was able to be a bit more, vibrant, bit more energetic, he wouldn't be having these same types of problems. And then also you can point that out with Kamala Harris as well. Now, my thing, it's pretty clear that the Biden administration doesn't like her. But one of my things up until now has been like, where the hell is Kamala? And now I'm pretty. I don't think she really has the let's see, I would say she doesn't really have the talent to be like a front facing person. She's not that great at speaking. She's not that, and she's not that charismatic. Because if she was, I mean, listen, she's not only the first woman vice president, she's also the first black vice president, like both of those. And we hardly see her. So you see what I'm saying? Like if she had like a stronger, more charismatic personality and maybe was a bit more likable, whatever it is that you want to sprinkle on there. The point being, if we would see a lot of her, we wouldn't be in this situation. But from what I've seen of Kamala Harris, she just doesn't really have the talent set to do that anyway. So, you know, so now that's why everybody's oh yes, and Asian. So she first Asian, first black, first woman vice president. So you see what I mean? Like if she had some charisma, man, she would be one of the most famous popping people on the planet right now. Are you serious? Hold up, what is this? Are you kidding me? Um so yeah, it's yeah, and again, earlier, Jank, he thinks that it's a done deal in terms of Joe Biden gonna drop out. I would love to see that happen, but again, my biggest concern in that would be it's not gonna look that great. Like, yeah, it would be answering people's calls, but to just switch candidates 4 months out, y'all better do that shit right. Because if you don't, it's gonna look horrible. So that's my only concern. But again, like how can you really argue now? I mean, like what the fuck is this? Like what you know, what is this? And this isn't new, but again, like I said, Biden has had over a year to basically have that incumbent handicap, but the incumbent handicap really is not even there at this point. 6 points on Biden nationally. Former president and presumptive Republican nominee Donald Trump has established a 6 point national lead over President Joe Biden in the wake of their debate last week, according to a New York Times and Siena College poll. The survey of 1532 Americans found that Trump boasts a 49% to 43% lead over Biden, with likely voters and an even more impressive 49% to 41% lead among registered voters. 74% of voters say Biden is too old for the job. I mean, like, come on, bro. Like, what? Like, what are you gonna say? Like, oh, people are just overreacting. Like, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Like what do you want people to do? You got to face reality, cuz like I said, this would if Biden would have just had a little bit of life, then he would have had the incumbent advantage and none of this would be going because again, people don't like Donald Trump. Donald Trump isn't popular like people. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not as if like all of a sudden people are like, you know what? I think I'd love to give Trump another chance. No, 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 no. It's that Donald Trump's base is very committed. They're gonna vote for him, and it's always what it usually comes down to: the swing states and then the independent voters. That it's usually comes down to that. But overall, people don't like Donald Trump. So hold on, let's look more into this. Um, Mr. Biden faces other headwinds beyond his age. The economy and inflation were the top issues for voters in the Times Siena surveys. Both before and after the debate, and Mr. Trump is winning voters who prioritize those issues overwhelmingly. Also, by a wide margin, voters look back more fondly on Mr. Trump's time in office than Mr. Biden's. That's ridiculous. But again, I mean, what can you say? I mean, if this is how people feel, that's how people feel. And even though the country was shut down for a whole year while he was in office, I guess people have forgotten that. But just 34% said Mr. Biden made the country better, while 47% said the same about Mr. Trump's tenure. So what is it? I guess they were more entertained by Donald Trump. He showed his face more. I can remember more things from that time. But I mean, it's just like this is Donald Trump. Like this isn't it's not like I mean, this guy is like the worst candidate ever. Donald Trump is. Okay, so Mike Boy, you just put the AP News, and again, I've seen some of that as well. I've seen I've seen him, like and in fact, I got some articles pulled up that we're gonna look over about the Biden camp saying, because there's talk that's saying, oh, he's gonna drop out, he wants to, and then there's like, oh no, we're not gonna do it. But I think that I mean, some type of official announcement on that, I think has to be made sometime within the next week. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, like it can't really be longer than a week before it's just time's up. No, I got some stuff pulled up here about Biden signals open mind on path forward. See next few days is critical. So yeah, again, I think that over the weekend or early next week, we're probably gonna get some type of an answer. Um, but I mean, it's just it's it's just a crazy situation, because again, like, you know, nobody had Aaron, what's going on? How you doing today? Um, but it's just like, who has any real insight into this situation? I mean, like, there's a bunch of theories, but as far as I know, nothing exactly like this has ever been the case, has ever been the situation. Ghost Dog, what's going on? Trent, how you doing, my brother? Um, so like, I don't think anybody has any real full insight onto how this is supposed to work or how this is supposed to go down. So again, my concern is, it's like, I'd love to see Biden go, but yeah, I mean, you're just gonna have to do it right. You're gonna have to do it right. All right, now more from Mediaite. Hold on, let me pull this up. Uh, I'm not leaving. Biden makes absolutely clear on all staff call he's in the race to the end. So let's see what's up. Jesse, what's going on? So let's see.
Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris called into today's campaign all-staff call at the White House. At any moment, we are expecting to hear from the White House Press Secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, taking a number of difficult questions after she did already yesterday about the president's future. CNN's MJ Lee is live for us inside the briefing room. MJ, you have some new reporting specifically about the chief of staff and a call that he held with staff at the White House telling them to keep their heads up and to focus on their work. Tell us more about that reporting.
Yeah, this is new reporting coming in from our colleague Betsy Klein, who reports that the President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris called into an all-campaign staff call just moments ago. This was described by a source as being a pep talk, and that both of them in this call described the stakes of the election near the end of the call, the president said, let's go win this. And as you mentioned, there are other efforts coming in the campaign, in the White House as well. As a lot of folks, a lot of staffers, aides that are working in the campaign in the White House are really worried about the future of the 2024 campaign. We know that White House Chief of Staff Jeff Zients also had a White House aides call trying to bring some sort of reassurance given the events of the last several days. And we are expecting here White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre to take the podium any minute. And we expect that it is going to be yet another very tough White House press briefing.
Yes, don't invite Hannibal Lecter to dinner. Let's not do that. That might not go so well. It may not go so smoothly. We got Julio Rodriguez in the building. What is going on, my brother? How are you doing today? All right, hold on. Let's see. Got a bunch of stuff from media, a few other things too. We got some heat waves going on. Northern California is on fire. We got some studies from Ozempic, or about Ozempic. Hold on. I'm just okay. All right, here we go. We'll go on to this next. Julian Castro urging Biden to drop out of the race. Let's see what he has to say. He said, Trump said, don't invite Hannibal Lecter to dinner. I guess every once in a while, Trump has some good advice. You know what I mean? Like, you can't fully argue with that. I guess he does have a point there. You definitely don't want that guy to be there to be at the dinner table. All right. Obama House and Urban Development Secretary Julian Castro urges Biden to drop out of the race, very likely to lose to one of the weakest candidates in presidential history. Let's see what he has to say. He said, um, okay, so he's an analyst now for MSNBC. So he said, Joe Biden is a good man and has been a good president. But last week's debate disturbingly demonstrated that he is unable to effectively prosecute the case against Donald Trump, much less inspire and mobilize voters to the polls. He continued, President Biden passed transformative legislation. He helped bring us out of the pandemic and led one of the greatest economic recoveries in the world. But unfortunately, a strong record is not enough when the stakes are this high. Sadly, President Biden is not the campaigner he was in 2020 and looks very likely to lose to Trump, one of the weakest candidates in presidential history. Again, that's true. I mean, Donald Trump is a clown. He is a clown. But this is not news. I am convinced that a number of other Democrats, including Vice President Harris, stand a better chance of winning. Defeating Donald Trump is too important for Democrats to do nothing. With the understanding that the stakes are so high, President Biden should make the difficult decision to withdraw from the race. President Biden should fulfill his promise to be a bridge to the next generation of leadership and allow a stronger Democratic candidate to prevent a disastrous second Trump term. Time is running out. Yes, it is. I mean, I don't know, man. Look, at the end of the day, it's like, um, you know, there's only so much you can do when everybody's against you. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't care how much Joe Biden or his family or anybody really want to see him in office. Pressure breaks dams. Pressure matters. So I think that I think there may be a good, even though Biden said he's absolutely not dropping out. I mean, if this doesn't stop over the next several days, I mean, I don't really see how he's even gonna have that much energy to run. Just on a human level, it's only 4 months left. I mean, that's gotta knock the gas out of his tank to know that this stuff is going on. So, man, it's just such a crazy situation. Like, I can't sit here and act like I know the answer. I can't sit here and pretend like I know what the best move would be. Because again, like I said, Biden should have dropped out a year ago. Like, this should have happened a long time ago. Because now there's so many things to question. It's like, well, who's it gonna be? Like, you feel me? Like, who's it gonna be? And then how is that gonna happen? So they just waited too damn long. And it is what it is, man. Like, you can't sit here and pretend like the whole country isn't thinking what they're thinking about Joe Biden, just looking like he can't do this for another 4 years. So we'll see what happens. But then we got this because Republicans um ultimately want Joe Biden to stay in the race. So we got this. Top conservative think tank vows to make it extraordinarily difficult for Dems to replace Biden by filing swing state lawsuits. So here we go. Heritage Foundation has vowed to do everything possible to keep Democrats from replacing President Joe Biden as the party's presidential nominee. And again, that's the other thing. That's like just like practical, like real obstacles to this. It's like, if y'all are gonna do this now, how would you even do it? You know, like how would you even do this? And now we're looking at, I mean, there's gonna be legal obstacles too. Like, no, 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 you can't get out. What a mess. I mean, this is just such a mess. Yes, exactly, Fritz. If he would have just not ran for it, because again, part of the deal with his 2020 campaign was like, hey guys, I'm willing to do one term. That was part of the whole deal. So apparently that's not the deal now, but we gonna find out. Oh, my bad. Hold on. click that. Approximately 4 months ago, the conservative organization began researching laws in states for replacing nominee in key swing states, according to a report from Notice. Staffers for Heritage Oversight Project compiled the report back in April and released it ahead of the debate. Quote, if the Biden family decides that President Biden will not run for re-election, the mechanisms for replacing him on balance vary by state, reads the memo. There is the potential for pre-election litigation in some states that would make the process difficult and perhaps unsuccessful. The organization's oversight project executive director Mike Howell said in a statement to Notice they would make the process for replacing Biden extraordinarily difficult. Quote, we've zeroed in on a few states that we think are the best case, Howell told the news outlet without naming the specific states. The memo, however, identifies Nevada, Washington, and Georgia as the most likely states to use litigation to stop a new Democratic nominee from replacing Biden on the ballot. Quote, it all depends on when and how they do it, Howell added. And then what state that we're looking at, now that matches up to the right one, going in there and working with the right people. The problem that any potential replacement for Joe Biden will likely run into is that in many states, including in several key states, the deadline for getting on the ballot has already passed, said Zach Smith, a senior legal fellow at Heritage, in a statement to Notice. Or in many states, the process for replacing a candidate currently on the ballot just isn't clearly defined because it happens so rarely. You see, that's just a dose of reality right there. You know, that's just a dose of reality. And look, listen, I think that if Biden does, because again, it's like, well, if he drops out, he's going to have to do it like now, and there's going to be all these obstacles. If he doesn't do it, then I think that obviously they're just going to have to address the issue. He's going to have to be front and center. He's going to have to be loaded up on all the amphetamines in the world. He's going to have to um he's going to have to help quell people's fears. He really will. And again, I still think at the end of the day, yeah, Biden is old and he's probably going to lose, but abortion rights and stuff like that, people aren't going to forget about that. So I'm just curious to see how it's all going to pan out. If they replace Biden, how the hell are they actually going to do it? And if they don't, well, you're going to have to get people to the polls on the issues. It's going to have to be the issues, because if it's not, you're just going to have a really hard time. I mean, some of these articles that I got up, I don't even like, what's even the point in going through it? Like, from Business Insider, Biden and the Democrats can't decide what to blame the disastrous debate on. That doesn't matter now. And again, it's true that other people have had bad debates, but they weren't 81 years old. That's the difference. Like, for whatever you like it, they, talking about like Obama's bad debate in 2012. I mean, how old was he in 2012? Like 50 something? Maybe. How could Wasn't he 40 something when he became president? He was in his 50s, I think, when in 2012. Like, so that's the difference. Um okay, yeah, we got more from this. We already looked at that though, in terms of him saying that he's absolutely not going to drop out. Um yeah. I got some interesting stuff pulled up. Um, all right, let's look at this. Again, like, this is mainstream media stuff. Like, it's not like this is just a bunch of progressives hating on Joe Biden. That's not what man, everybody's saying this stuff. But yeah, I mean, so if he's going to stay in, then they got to turn it up, and they got to focus on the issues. And maybe they'll still have a chance. This, for down ballot especially. But man, this is just such a messy situation. Because again, nobody knows exactly what to do and how to do it. State in and lost. CNN data guru warns Biden's support right now echoes George H.W. Bush.
Adding it all together in your own analysis of what you're looking at, how are Democrats feeling from the numbers available about Biden right now?
Yeah, people forgot to tell Democrats if folks want Joe Biden to drop out, they forgot to tell Democratic voters that he should drop out. All right. So this is a Reuters Ipsos poll that was out in the last 24 hours. Should Joe Biden leave the presidential race after the debate? Look, overall, yeah, the majority of Americans, 56%, say, yeah, he should leave the race. But look among Democrats. This is Joe Biden's base. This is what
I think this is important. This is definitely important. So again, like like stuff like this is gonna matter because if he stays in the race, you're gonna have to get. But again, the problem is the swing states and shit like that. But people have short memories. So if Biden's able to completely turn it around in terms of the perception of him, then people can then focus on the issues. But if he continue, like if he looks the way he did on Thursday more, then I don't think he's going to be able to escape that. But if he can look different, then people won't totally forget, but it'll just balance out a little bit. But that's his only hope.
why he is the president. They nominated him back in 2020. They nominated him again in 2024. 66% of Democrats say no, he should not leave the race. And of course, it's going to be these Democratic voters who put the pressure on their members of Congress, their governors, the elected officials, party actors to try and get Biden to leave. At this particular point, though, the Democratic activists are not necessarily going to put the pressure on Joe Biden because the fact of the matter is most Democratic voters, 2/3 of them, want Joe Biden to stay in this race. They don't want him to quit, Kate.
But how does this compare, and what you can compare it to, in terms of past incumbents who then decided to not run for re-election?
Right. You know, there are two incumbents who were going to potentially run and decided to get out. In 1952, it was Harry S. Truman. In 1968, it was Lyndon Baines Johnson. So, look, they quit before the nominations were decided, right? They quit as the primary season was going on. This is the choice for nominee before incumbents quit. Look, in 1952 with Harry S. Truman, look at this. He was well below 50%. He was just at 31%. He was losing the primaries to Estes Kefauver at 35%. But look at that, 31%. That is way, way, way low. Just 66% of Democrats right now want Joe Biden to stay in the race. This was just 31% for Truman back in 52. How about Lyndon Johnson in 68? After RFK entered the race, RFK was leading in the Democratic primary with 44%. Look at this. LBJ was just getting 41% of the Democratic vote. These numbers are far worse than what Joe Biden is facing right now among the Democratic electorate. Yeah, overall voters want him to leave, but Democratic voters like Joe Biden, the numbers Joe Biden's getting right now don't look anything like the last two times the Democratic incumbents decided, you know what, it's time for me to step aside.
Again, stuff like this would be his lifeline, but he has to do that. Like he's good point, Cheryl. He's got to do the media blitz. Like he's got to be all up in everybody's faces, even people who don't want to see it. You got to be all up in everybody's face. That's your only hope. But again, I mean, just what the hell? What the hell, man? Because like what we just read about the Heritage Foundation months ago, they started looking into ways that they could challenge Joe Biden dropping out of the race. So even if he does it, maybe it won't even work. Maybe he can't. Yeah, so get press conferences, get out there. He has to do it. And if he does, he can turn it around. But man, he's going to have to put in an effort.
This landscape is not what Joe Biden is looking at. Is there a scenario that what Joe Biden's up against is more like?
Yeah. How about the last incumbent who had approval ratings about as bad as Joe Biden did among the overall electorate? Think he should quit the presidential race. Back in 1992, remember George H.W. Bush faced Pat Buchanan. That primary, it wasn't too serious. He won all the primaries, but there was still some inkling for him to get out of the race. But this polling was taken after he was the presumptive nominee. 24% of Republicans thought that George H.W. Bush should get out of the race. Compare that now, 32% of Democrats think that Joe Biden should get out of the race. These numbers look a lot more comparable than the 52 or the 68 scenario. Look, this number could change. This number could go up. But at this particular point, the numbers that Joe Biden is facing amongst his base look a lot more like 1992, when George H.W. Bush not only stayed in the race, but he ran hard, obviously lost that November to Bill Clinton. But this number looks a lot more like an incumbent who's going to stay in the race than one who's going to get out.
Man, this is just crazy, is it not? Nationally and across battleground. I think we just looked at this poll. This is a different poll. Let me make sure this is no, because we just looked at New York. What was it? I think it was a New York Times College Siena poll. Siena College rather. So let me see. Okay, I think this is a different one. Let's check this out. Let me pull it on up. And then we'll get into some other stories. Trump gets edge over Biden nationally and across battlegrounds after debate as Democrats turnout in question. CBS News poll. The race for president has shifted in Donald Trump's direction following the first 2024 presidential debate. Trump now has a 3-point edge over President Biden across the battleground states collectively, and a 2-point edge nationally. A big factor here is motivation, not just persuasion. Democrats are not as likely as Republicans to say they will definitely vote now. Perhaps befitting a race with two well-known candidates in a heavily partisan electorate. Over 90% of both Mr. Biden's and Trump supporters say they would never even consider the other candidate, as was the case before the debate, which helps explain why the race has been fairly stable for months. So this is CBS News YouGov. Yeah, man. Biden's got to turn up. He has got to turn it up, or he's just done. Because, he has to remind people that he's still running against Donald Trump. And Donald Trump had a very, very bad debate on Thursday as well. His debate performance wasn't good. Are you kidding me? He was a complete idiot. So yeah, now let's see. Now we got a couple of other stories unrelated to Biden. But again, it's everybody's going crazy about this. People who normally aren't. So how can you not talk about it? Lady fucking T, thank you so much for gifting the 5 memberships. We got Jesse Camaro, we got Trent, we got Sean. Hold up, we gonna have another person. Oh, hold on, let me see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Somebody else gonna get the membership soon. Thank you so much. Thank you. We got Euless Yoga Spot. We got Miss Thickness. Hello. But yeah, no, Biden, turn it up. And if he really turns it up, then he can turn it around. Because again, he's still running against Donald Trump. He's still running against Trump. But damn, man. Damn. He should have just not ran for a second term. But too late now. Conservative leader issues cryptic threat to liberals, says second American revolution will be bloodless if the left allows it to be. This is so stupid. Look, there's a whole lot going on, right? There's a whole lot at risk in the country. There's a whole lot of negativity that's happening all around us. But there's not going to be a revolutionary war over what? What exactly is the revolution over? So let's see what he says. The leader of the Heritage Foundation issued an unhinged declaration on Tuesday, telling liberals that they are currently on the business end of the second American Revolution, which could turn bloody if they resist. Kevin Roberts, the election conspiracy theorist who leads Heritage, appeared on the far right Real America's Voice Network. He held a spat of conservative rulings handed down by the U.S. Supreme Court, which on Monday decreed that Donald Trump and all presidents have absolute immunity from criminal prosecution for official acts. Again, that's so the Supreme Court is something else, man. Because couldn't Joe Biden just kind of go after Donald Trump in some type of arbitrary way because of what the Supreme Court said. But I guess that doesn't really apply to Joe Biden. But then, of course, there's other stuff, with the Supreme Court, basically saying, fuck you if you're homeless, go to the outskirts of town. You can't sleep outside. The Supreme and Clarence Thomas was the only Supreme Court justice. I'm pretty sure I posted it into the matter of fact, let me see if I emailed this to myself because I know I posted it into the community section with Clarence Thomas being the only Supreme Court justice who wants to take aim at far-reaching workplace safety laws. What does that say that none of the other conservative justices wanted to take aim at that? What does that say? Let's get rid of workplace safety laws. Like, what the hell is wrong with these people, man? These people are out of their damn minds, and Clarence Thomas is really out of his mind. Hold on, let me get this up. All right, yeah. We're gonna look at that next. We're in the process of taking the country back, Kevin Roberts said. Roberts said that presidential immunity is vital to ensure a vigorous executive as described in the Federalist Papers. Eventually, he got around to what he called the radical left. He said, but number three, let me speak about the radical left. You and I have both been parts of faculties and faculty senates and understand that the left has taken over our institutions. The reason that they are apoplectic right now, the reason that so many anchors on MSNBC, for example, are losing their minds daily is because our side is winning. And so I come full circle to this response and just want to encourage you with some substance that we are in the process of the Second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be. Again, what does that even mean? What the hell does that mean? Does he even know? Like, a revolution for what? What could that possibly mean? Getting, getting women back in the kitchen, taking jobs away from black and brown people, which of course, the hilarious thing about these people's ideology is it's like, y'all realize this would totally destroy the economy, right? Like send all the immigrants home, just get them all out of here. Is that your American revolution? I suppose it'll be bloodless. It'll be bloodless if you allow it to be. Dude, come on. This isn't. Like, dude, come on. All right, now let's get to Clarence Thomas. He was the only person who wanted to do this. Justice Clarence Thomas wants the Supreme Court to take aim at far-reaching workplace safety laws. The Supreme Court will not hear a challenge to a key federal agency that oversees workplace safety, which conservative Justice Clarence Thomas slammed as a far-reaching authority that threatens Americans' constitutional rights. If people don't want to protect their workers, that's their right. Like, okay, Clarence. On Tuesday, he's so weird. He's so strange. He's such a weird guy. Like, he's just odd. Like, what the hell? Okay, I got it up. On Tuesday, Supreme Court justices declined to hear a case that questioned the constitutionality of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, an argument backed by right-wing legal groups and 23 Republican attorneys general. The challengers had hoped to find a sympathetic court on the heels of two major rulings that took a sledgehammer to regulatory agencies and the government's ability to go after lawbreakers. Because who needs that? Only Justices Thomas and Neil Gorsuch wanted to hear the case. Okay, so he wasn't alone. There were only two of them, but still, what does that say? Congress purported, this is what Clarence Thomas said. He said, Congress purported to empower an administrative agency to impose whatever workplace safety standards it deems appropriate. That power extends to virtually every business in the United States. He added, the agency claims authority to regulate everything from a power lawnmower's design to the level of contact between trainers and whales at SeaWorld. Yes, please. Please get this goofy ass man out of the Supreme Court. But that, good luck with that. The case stems from a fine imposed by OSHA against an Ohio contractor after a worker was injured by a broken catwalk on a work site. The company then sued President Joe Biden's administration, claiming that the agency's ability to set reasonably necessary or appropriate safety standards violates Congress's constitutional lawmaking authority. An appeals court rejected the argument, and the company appealed to the Supreme Court. Quote, "The Occupational Safety and Health Act may be the broadest delegation of power to an administrative agency found in the United States Code," Thomas wrote. "If this far-reaching grant of authority does not impermissibly confer legislative power on an agency, it is hard to imagine what would," he added. The court's rejection of the case arrived the same day that the Biden administration announced sweeping OSHA protections for workers against heat, marking the first major regulations aimed at preventing heat-related deaths on the job. Man, I mean, the government's gone too far. We can't be protecting people's work rights. That's a step too far. That's too much. All right. In other news, just in case you didn't know, it's hot. It's very warm outside, all over the country. Over 90 million Americans on alert for extreme heat.
And ABC News meteorologist Samara Theodore is following the track and timing of Hurricane Beryl. Hi, Samara. What's the latest on what you're seeing?
Okay, that's different. That's about the hurricane. Heat alerts have been issued for 21 states from Washington to Florida on Wednesday, with more than 90 million on alert for extreme weather. Several wildfires also exploded in the West on Tuesday due to dry conditions and ongoing heat. The dangerous heat is just beginning in the West, but it has already claimed the life of a 10-year-old boy who was hiking in Phoenix on Tuesday. Damn. This prolonged heat could be for the record books every year, every single year, and could be one of the worst in 18 years for parts of California. Woo! Look at this. Look at all this. You got Texas, 100 plus all over, Oklahoma City, 100 plus, Tulsa, 109. And it's more humid up here in like OKC and stuff, and like the Midwest and shit is humid. So it's not just dry heat. But even at that, dry heat is 100 plus degrees is 100 plus degrees. We got pretty much the whole South and then down in Florida. A heat advisory has issued for coastal cities such as Los Angeles and San Francisco, where temperatures could get close to 90 degrees on Wednesday. Inland temperatures could rise into the 110s. Damn. Phoenix, 113. And then Northern California, you got 112. Whew. Water, sunscreen, and shade. It is hot. Listen. I'm kind of crazy with the heat, though. I love running outside when it's hot as hell. You got to be careful with it, though. But, oh, man, 100 plus degrees. Oh, that's too hot. That's too damn hot. And how much money is fixing up that infrastructure gonna cost? Untold amounts. Now we got Northern California is on a fire. Distracted Garner, thank you so much for 9 months of membership. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. I appreciate all of y'all, man. Really. Y'all have carried me. We are carrying this channel. We're carrying each other, and things are going well. And like I said, at the end of this month, I'll be going back to St. Louis for several months so I can save up money. Then I'm gonna move back out here to the New York, New Jersey area. And I mean, the channel is just gonna do a lot better. I'm gonna really be focused all summer long, so that's gonna pay off. But also when I come back out here, I'll have money in my pocket. So I'll be able to go to events. I'll be able to do more networking. I'll be able to pay for an editor. I'll be able to do a lot of stuff that's just really gonna bring this channel to the next level. because there's only so much that you can do by yourself, and also there's only so much that you can do with no money. So I'm about to go again, get my shit together, and we're gonna keep on keeping on. So thank you so much, everybody, for all your support. It really means the world. All right. Nearly 30,000 people in Northern California evacuated as raging wildfire spreads. And we just getting started with this too, in terms of this year. Thousands of homes are under threat from a raging wildfire that erupted in Northern California on Tuesday as the state simmers in a brutal and potentially historic heat wave. Roughly 28,000 residents have been forced to evacuate as the Thompson fire quickly swept across more than 3,000 acres near the city of Oroville, about an hour outside Sacramento, which is California's capital. Photojournalists captured intense scenes on Tuesday night as the blaze tore through homes and vehicles in the rural enclave in Butte County. Butte County, I don't know how to say it exactly. Officials confirmed that at least 4 structures have been destroyed. More than 1,400 fire personnel from across the state have deployed to battle the blaze. Yeah, so we just getting started with this. I mean, this country just has so many issues. I mean, this is a climate weather issue, but I mean, that our infrastructure, unfortunately, there's going to be a bunch of mass shootings this summer. I mean, there will be because, we don't do anything about guns and gun violence in this country. So, yes, absolutely. I'm going to be streaming. I'm going to be working. I'm gonna be working. Honestly, I'll be streaming more while I'm in St. Louis because I ain't gonna have shit else to do. I ain't gonna have nothing to do in St. Louis, which is why this is really gonna pay off because my life just isn't there anymore. So while I'm there, all I'm gonna have to do is work out, save money, and get my shit together. So, but yes, absolutely, I'll be streaming more. I'll be making more content while I'm out there. But I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to better myself. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to better all of this. So thank y'all again for everything. Now we got some news about Ozempic because as you know, I'm pretty sure it's like a diabetic medication, but also celebrities and wealthier people have been using it as weight loss because it seems to do basically the same thing that speed does um, to the body in terms of like your appetite, because then like speed helps to take away your appetite. But there have been a lot of side effects. So this apparently is one of them. Let's check it out. Patients on Ozempic are developing a rare form of sudden blindness, doctors say. That's fucking scary. Eye doctors in Boston have started to notice a small but worrisome uptick in cases of a rare type of sudden blindness among patients taking semaglutide. Semaglutide. They're raising questions about whether taking Ozempic or Wegovy might be leading to more cases of non-arteritic, non-arter, yes, non-arteritic anterior. Oh Jesus, there's so many medical words. I'm too much of a peasant to know how to read this properly. So let's try this again. They're raising questions about whether taking Ozempic or Wegovy might be leading to more cases of non-arteritic anterior ischemic optic neuropathy. What a mouthful. A rare condition where blood stops flowing to the optic nerve. Whoa. Disturbing the connection between the eye and the brain. The issue typically surfaces suddenly without pain and results in people waking up in the morning unable to see out of one eye. The new investigation published Wednesday in JAMA Ophthalmology found that people taking semaglutide appeared slightly more likely to develop NAION, neon, neon, than other patients with obesity or diabetes. I have to say diabetes because of what's his name? I can't remember the man's name from the diabetes commercials, but that's always how I say it. Wilford Brimley, that's his name. I'm Wilford Brimley and I have diabetes. The number of patients on semaglutide who developed NAION, because we're not gonna read the full word again, was tiny. Out of more than 16,000 eye patients in Massachusetts included in this 6-year retrospective investigation, only 37 people on semaglutide developed NAION. That is a significantly small number, but still something that people need to know. If you are considering taking Ozempic, whether it be for your diabetes or because you'd like to lose weight, oh, Fritza, man. Well, that scene. I bet the first time that happened to you, that was scary as hell. All of a sudden, you just like, wow, what the wow? Like, what's going on? Yeah, that um yes, distracted Garner. That's why, I just open when we come across words that we can't fully pronounce, we have fun with it. You know what I'm saying? We have fun with it because my mouth just doesn't have a lot of experience pronouncing those kinds of words. It's like learning a new language. But yes, that sums up Wednesday's live stream. Joe Biden is in a very bad position. He can turn it around, but man, he's going to have to put in a hell of an effort. He's going to have to do a media blitz like no one's ever seen before. He's going to have to do press conferences. He's going to have to do rallies. He is going to have to show his ass like we ain't never seen before. If he does that, he can turn it around. Then on the flip side, there's a huge call for him to drop out. The problem with that is can he even do that? What are the legalities of it? We saw the Heritage Foundation is prepared to sue. I think it was the state of Georgia, Nevada, and some. It was 3 states that they mentioned that are prepared to uh, sue the Biden administration uh, for him trying to drop out. And also, there's the concern of can new candidates even get on the ballot in certain places? So it's just a crazy situation, and I don't think anybody has any full real insight on it because nothing like this has happened, at least not in our lifetime. So and I can definitely for sure say there's plenty of people with more experience and knowledge on this than me who can talk about this better. But from my perspective, it's like, one, is it even, yes, I'd love to see Joe Biden replaced, but is it even possible? Can it even happen? And if it does, you got to do it just right. You have to do it right. It can't be a mess. It can't be chaotic. So, we'll see what's up. Only time will tell. But unfortunately, it is what it is, and we got to keep the fight alive. And that's the name of the game. That's the name of the game. Keep the fight alive. You can't let bad leadership discourage you too much because there's always an opportunity for us to be leaders, for you to be a leader. There's always an opportunity to step up, especially when times get hard. That's when leaders show themselves. That's when leaders are made. Um, so there's always a silver lining. Try not to be too doom and gloom because as long as we keep the fight alive, we'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? Humanity has made it through some very, very difficult times, and we gonna make it through this too. We gonna be all right. So keep the hope alive, keep the fight alive. Thank you for everything that y'all do for me. I truly love and appreciate you. And I'll see you tomorrow. Well, maybe not because it's the 4th, but perhaps. But y'all have a good holiday.